Weird. The only thing we don't call a trigger is the one that actually has a trigger.
Bill Maher, on occasion like a blind knife that finds a squirrel in the drawer twice a day,
What'd you say?
had some words for his compatriots, which is probably a good descriptor these days, his compatriots in Hollywood regarding guns.
And finally, new rule. Now that we live in an age of uber corporate responsibility where every large company in America bends over backwards to get on the politically correct side of every issue, Hollywood has to tell us, why doesn't that include gun violence? When liberals scream, do something after a mass shooting, why aren't we also dealing with the fact that the average American kid sees 200,000 acts of violence on screens before the age of 18? And that, according to the FBI, one of the warning signs of a potential school shooter is a fascination with violence-filled entertainment.
Did I mention this is Bill Maher you're hearing? Concerned that Hollywood is making impressions on children and it is leading to bad acts.
You don't say.
Wow, there are some days I'd actually like to be on the Bill Maher show, sitting next to him to say, hey, Bill, I think you're right about the gun connection. That people see violence, some, not all, some are going to emulate it. Some are going to find a thrill. Some are going to think that it's okay. Some are going to have their moral compass so off kilter, it actually makes sense to them to go shoot up a bunch of people in a public place, including public grade schools. But let's extend that. Hollywood has other images that they portray a lot. How's about all of the hookups that are seen in today's Hollywood productions? Do you think that might be having an influence on the kids too, Bill? But he probably wouldn't object to that.
It's funny, Hollywood is the wokest place on earth in every other area of social responsibility. They have intimacy coordinators on set to chaperone sex scenes. They hire sensitivity readers to go through and edit scripts. Disney stood up to the Don't Say Gay law. Another studio spent $10 million to digitally remove Kevin Spacey from a movie. But when it comes to the unbridled romanticization of gun violence, crickets. Weird. The only thing we don't call a trigger is the one that actually has a trigger.
Bill Maher, concerned about Hollywood's portrayal of guns. What world are we living in these days?
If you make a movie today, you can't show bullying, fat shaming, girl chasing, gay baiting, ethnic stereotypes, or underage hookups where drinking is involved.
Well, once again, I would have to ask, though, what about those portrayals of young kids drinking, bad behavior, drug use? Why aren't we concerned about that, too, Mr. Maher?
But those things are bad, and everyone knows you can't platform bad things. You know what you can still platform? One guy who's the hero, getting over a grudge by mowing down a multitude of human beings. Because no impressionable young male would ever imitate that.
Which would lead us to another subject, and that might be who our young men do emulate. Data from the United States Census Bureau shows that nearly 18.5 million children grow up without their fathers. Could that be a connection to gun violence and bad behavior when they don't have a pop who is teaching them how to actually use these arms and to not abuse them by shooting up a schoolroom? The United States owns the title of the world's leader in fatherlessness. Hey, you think the economy is bad? Wait till you see what this does to our nation. This is what takes it down. Bill Maher is right. Impressionable young men. And who is teaching them? Social media, Hollywood. From this particular article, it's Fox News, from economic prosperity, increased academic performance to improved social mobility, fathers in their respective homes continue to be a key indicator of success for all children across racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic lines. Please note this statistic. 85% of children and teens with behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. 70% of adolescent patients in drug and alcohol treatment centers originate from homes without fathers. So you're right, Bill. They are impressionable. Who's making the impressions?
Now, the usual suspects on the far left will say that I'm delivering some sort of conservative rant here or that I'm undermining gun control.
No, because you're not going nearly far enough. So don't worry. No hugs from us.
No, it's neither. It's just what's real. There's a pie chart of why mass shootings happen, and we don't know exactly how much of each of the pieces is responsible, but the major ones are...
He's gonna miss them, but you probably guessed that.
Mental health, that is, broken young men who feel like losers and want the world to hurt like they do. Easy access to guns. Kids having smartphones, which makes losers feel even worse because of the bullying and all the fake lives that look better than theirs. And yes, crazy amounts of gun violence in movies and TV.
So close.
And no fathers. And a low belief in God. And diminished church attendance. Don't know if you saw the Gallup poll, but we have shrunk. In 1944, when Gallup first asked the nation, do you believe in God? 98% said yes. Today it's 81%. Hey, that's going to make a difference, isn't it? So while I thank Bill Maher for his astute observation about gun violence in Hollywood playing itself out on the streets, it doesn't go nearly far enough because it would ultimately raise a question. What in the world can we do to avoid this type of atrocious behavior? And they don't want to hear that answer because it involves Jesus. Hey, I'm Todd. I'm going to be your Uber driver. What's your destination?
2054 Kemple Lane.
No. Your eternal destination. The liberals, they brought in Pelagianism. It's the old Sabellian heresy, denying the Trinitarian Godhead. 3 persons, 1 God, not to the Sabellians. No. They would say that it's actually just 1 God.
Please, somebody!